What up, legends? And welcome to my guide slash showcase of the Rogue Rain of Arrows. I decided to go Rogue Rain of Arrows for some particular reason. I must be honest, this build is super fun. So yeah, in saying that, I thought then it will actually be quite fun just to showcase the build, and this is what we are able to achieve even on hardcore. Just want to make this very clear that I'm currently using the max roll a Rain of Arrows build guide, but just wanted to make that abundantly clear. This build can go all the way to Torment 4 and do Pit 100 quite easily, I'm pretty sure, with good gear. We're going to make it quite clear that the build Rain of Arrows will need at least 2 uniques to function properly. The main unique will be the amulet, which is the Word of Hakan, and for more quality of life and synergies, the Beastful Boots. These two are paramount in getting the Rain of Arrows build online. So for our helmet, we'll be using the Cowl of the Nameless. If you do not have this unique, you are able to use a normal legendary helmet. You can put on any synergizing aspects, like the Frostbitten, for example. The one main difference to the max roll guide, it is I am using the Shroud of Khanduras. Now that is purely because Dark Shroud can make you immune for 2 seconds, and every time you cast your ultimate, it refreshes all your cooldowns, which means you can cast Dark Shroud once again using the Shroud of Khanduras, or a standard legendary chest piece is fantastic. Just get your resistance roll, armor roll, and you're good to go. In our gloves, we will be imprinting the concussive strikes. For your tempers, you will pretty much need a critical strike damage temper. Unfortunately, I've bricked mine, which has got overpower, so as you can see, there's still a lot of room for improvement. Onto our pants, we are using the Noxus Ice aspect. Try to get an armor and a resistance roll. Our boots will be the unique boots, the Beastfall boots. What this does is when you do cast an ultimate skill, the next core skill will consume all your energy. Now, your core skill is not your damage, but the important thing to know is that it is consuming all the energy. And because of our specialization, when we use 75 energy, our ultimate skills cooldown is reduced by 5 seconds. Over to the bow, we are using a unique Sky Hunter. This, of course, is not required early game. If you do not have it, a standard legendary will suffice with any good imprinted aspect. For your weapons, you would prefer 2 swords. That is for the swords increasing your critical strike damage, which of course scales off of your key passive, which is precision. Precision, of course, exponentially scales higher the more critical strike damage you have. So on our first sword, we're going to imprint Arrow Storm. Just very important to note, when you do get the unique amulet, all Arrow Storm bonuses are directly attributed to your Rain of Arrows ultimate, which is very important, which just significantly boosts all your damage. As for tempers, critical strike damage tempers everywhere on everything offensive, and on your weapons, chance for Rain of Arrows to deal double damage. Our second sword will have the Vengeful aspect, which is another direct damage increase to your arrow storms. Our first ring will have the Conceited aspect, which lets us deal more damage while we have a barrier. Thanks to the passive Second Wind, every 100 energy that we do use, we will be gaining a beefy barrier. And of course, thanks to the Beastful Boots, every time we use our ultimate and directly cast a core skill thereafter, we drain all the energy, we instantly getting a barrier. So they synergize very well together. For the temper, once again, do critical strike damage. What I currently have is damage per Dark Shroud, but I will be changing that over to critical strike damage. Resource generation is always fantastic to have as the second temper. Our second ring will have the aspect Retribution. This allows us to deal a whole bunch more damage to stunned or knocked down enemies. Now we stun and knock down enemies on a regular basis, so you're pretty much always getting this damage multiplier, which is fantastic to have. To our final piece of equipment, which is the one and only Word of Hakan. This is where the build really starts to shine once you get this amulet. The whole Rain of Arrows then suddenly changes, and it is beautiful. It's not an S tier build by any means, guys, so don't expect this to be anywhere up in the high tier pits. But if you're looking for something very fun, very visually appealing, I strongly recommend just giving this build a go. Now what Word of Akan does, it is your Rain of Arrows is always imbued with all your imbuements, and then as I did say earlier, the Rain of Arrows receives the Arrow Storm benefits. Preferably, if you do get an Ancestral, where I am lucky, you would want the GA to be on Rain of Arrows cooldown. Lower the cooldown, the more regular you get to rain arrows on your enemies. As our core skill, we're going to be using Flurry. I know Flurry is a cutthroat skill, and Precision requires a marksman skill to give you a precision stack. Now, according to the guide, they do say that Flurry is quote-unquote bugged, and it is generating now precision stacks. So therefore, you can use this skill. It just gives you an additional dash, which is more mobile, and it generates your precision stacks in order for you to cast, once at full precision stacks, to rain arrows on your enemies. You will have Dark Shroud on your skill tree, so I do try to get as many points into Dark Shroud as possible, especially with me playing on hardcore. I am super scared to die, so the more defensive I go, the better. 1 point into Enhanced Dark Shroud just for additional movement speed. Mobility is always lovely to have. Now here you're going to put 1 single point into all imbuements. For your Shadow Imbuement, you will go to Mixed Shadow Imbuement. The Cold Imbuement, you go down towards Mixed Cold Imbuement. They will be automatically used every single time you cast Rain of Arrows. Down towards our ultimates, of course, the reason why we're playing the build, the one and only Rain of Arrows, max that out, go all the way to the last node, Supreme Rain of Arrows. And over to our key passive, as explained, we're using the Precision, unfortunately with the bugged Flurry, but the bug is not game-changing bug, it just makes you use a more mobile skill. So before we go over the Paragon board, I just want to say to all you legends, thank you guys so much for clicking, for watching. I am so grateful.
And like and subscribe.
Okay, my boy. Anyway, over to the Paragon board. On our first starter board, we are using Combat. It's quite nice to have. Additional critical strike damage scales very well with Precision. We'll be going up onto our second Paragon board, which is the Tricks of the Trade. Alternating between Marksman and Cutthroat, we'll get additional damage. Our glyph will be the Headhunter glyph. Our third board, guys, will be Deadly Ambush. Once you put your trap down, you will be dealing a lot more damage to the specified enemy. As for our glyph, we shall be using the Versatility glyph. Our fourth board will be the No Witness board. Get your ultimate skill damage maxed out in order to get the maximum bonus of 45x. As for our glyph, we shall be using the Control glyph. Our final board will be the Eldritch Bounty board. And our final and not least glyph will be Fluidity. As I do say, legends, the board is pretty much the exact same as what Max Rolls is. I have to keep repeating that I am not doing a build guide of this. I'm doing more a build showcase and showing what I got. I'm open and honest about that, my legends. So now we're going to showcase what the build does. As you see at this stage, in the hardcore character, we Paragon 184. We are Torment 2 difficulty. In hardcore, I am scared of dying. We can push the build way further, guys. Now the reason why I'm not taking extreme risks is because I am very scared of dying. It won't be quite against my nature to go and die while I'm making this video, which would actually be kind of funny. Preferably, please, let me have not cursed myself. But the build is very fun. It's visually appealing. Your gameplay loop, as I say, legends, it is you cast your Rain of Arrows, you dash with Flurry to your next target, and you rinse and repeat that loop. You don't need to wait, because pretty much Rain of Arrows then takes out the group of enemies, and so you continue with your game. Now, as we are resetting our cooldowns on a regular basis, as you do see, we will have our Dark Shroud off cooldown, fairly good. As you see, I do have I can have it at 2 to 3 seconds where I'm vulnerable to damage like that. If you get proper gameplay, you can not be perma-invulnerable, guys, but with good playing, you can be very much most of the time invulnerable. I'm by no means a very good player, but I'm mostly invulnerable. So pretty much we're cutting through a tier 45. Again, not the most impressive, I know, tier 45, but the build is more than capable of doing pit 100 at least. I'm not too sure what's the most or the highest it can maybe push before it gets brick walled, but it's definitely capable of pit 100, guys. Boss damage is also not too shabby either. Once you do your rotations quite nicely, you do a lot of damage. As you can see, the rain of arrows is everywhere. It's very, very visually appealing. I've had one heck of a blast playing with this, and I would like to continue. I'm going to go as far as I can on my hardcore. Eventually, I'm going to die, and then I will maybe try to continue on the softcore, because what we're currently doing is a little hardcore challenge, our road to the first ever Mythic Unique. That's what I've been live streaming pretty much all the time. Guys, we have a little, small, but amazing community that we've been growing. I cannot believe with the amount of fun I've been having with the community. Guys has been so supportive to me. But yeah, here we go. This is the showcase of the Rogue Rain of Arrows. It's really fun. If there's something else you want to play which is not the Spiritborn, I recommend give this one a go. Show me what you have done. I'm very curious. Let me know, guys. What have you guys been doing? Which other builds have you guys been playing? So yeah, thank you everyone for joining. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and Skinner out.